and relearning. So I joined in an era where there was no ATM, no debit card, no credit card, nothing, right? And today we are, I have to
pass that to GPay.
No, and as a CEO, you have to be involved in the whole technology, piece, right? So it's very important as you go up to be humble enough to admit that you don't understand it and ask somebody who understands it better that explain me. So that's something that I've lived by. And the second thing is I live by one more mantra, which is persistence. Okay. So I have a quote which I would like to end with, that the river actually, the rock actually, the river cuts through the rock, not through its power, but by its persistence.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's why women have come to the top. I mean, generations have worked. My mother and her generation worked, and we are able to be here. Thank you very much for that very inspiring thing, that be at it and you succeed, and of course, be humble. Thank you very much, Anubhuti, Ankur, Parul and Zareen, for joining me in celebrating International Women's Day, as we should, as finance experts, and not just because of our gender.
Donald Trump wants a zero-tariff regime as Elon Musk gears up to drive into India. But is Tesla ready for the India safari? JSW Chairman Sajjan Jindal feels Musk cannot be successful in India, says we Indians are here. Hello and welcome to News Center. I'm Parikshit Luthra. Trump, tariffs, Tesla are our big focus this evening. India and the US have initiated trade talks this week after threatening all nations, including India, with reciprocal tariffs starting the 2nd of April. The US government, as per our sources, wants zero for zero tariffs for all product lines except agriculture. This comes at a time when Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal is in the US for talks with USTR Jamieson Greer and US Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick. this is the first time that the two sides are formally initiating talks on the bilateral trade agreement that Prime Minister Modi and Donald Trump have agreed to sign by September or October this year. Can India offer zero tariffs on all American goods coming into India, including Tesla? That remains to be seen. However, experts have been saying that India can offer zero for zero tariffs on 90% of industrial goods from the US. While India would like the reciprocal tariffs to be set aside, sources say that so far there is little likelihood of any carve-out for India. When it comes to automobiles, it is clear that Donald Trump wants American cars like Tesla and Harley-Davidson motorcycles to be sold in India tariff-free without having to set up manufacturing. As far as Tesla's India entry goes, things seem to be moving fast, with Tesla taking a 4,000 square feet space in Maker's Max City Mall in BKC, Mumbai on rent. They're going to be paying over 36 lakhs rupees per month in rent over 5 years, and the lease deed has already come into effect in February. Tesla has also taken some parking spots on rent to charge cars. The company has also taken a space on rent in Worldmark Mall in Aerocity, Delhi. The company has also kickstarted hirings for Pune, Mumbai, and mainly for showroom-related roles. Let's see what happens before the 2nd of April when US reciprocal tariffs kick in. Will Tesla succeed with its entry-level models in India? Considering the price of Tesla's base model is $35,000 or 31 lakh rupees, and an average Indian car costs around $11,000 or rupees 10 lakhs. With a 15% import duty as stated in the Indian electric car manufacturing policy, the price of Tesla's car can go up to $40,000 or $42,000 or 37 lakh rupees. The high cost is the reason why some believe that Tesla may not be able to make a big impact in the India market. JSW Chairman Jindal exclusively told CNBC-TV18 that Elon Musk will not be successful in India and warned that Tesla will not have an easy ride.
Elon Musk is not here. He is in the US.
But he's likely to come. He's likely to come if the
He can't be successful in this country.
Why not? Why not? Why can't Elon Musk be successful in this country?
Because we Indians are here. We are here. He cannot produce what Mahindra can do, what Tata can do. Not possible. He can do under Trump's shadow. He can do in the US. He's super smart. There's no question about it. He's maverick. He's super smart. He's doing this spacecraft and stuff like that. He's done amazing. So I have nothing. I don't want to take anything from him in the sense that he's too smart. But to be successful in India is not an easy job.
Being successful in India is not an easy task, and it's not going to be easy for Elon Musk either. Joining me right now, former Commerce Secretary Ajay Dua. Also joining us on the program are Arun Malhotra, former MD of Nissan and an auto industry expert. Thank you very much for joining us. Let me begin with Mr. Dua. Mr. Dua, now when it comes to the trade talks on the bilateral trade agreement have formally begun this week. It seems that the US wants zero for zero tariffs on all sectors except for agriculture. Do you think this is doable?
Yes, in some ways doable, because for us, the imports from US as of now are far lower than our exports. But the question is it really desirable? Because one, we do have MFN agreement, that means most favored nation agreement, to be extended to all the countries who are in trade with us, saying if we offer someone else a better rate than what we are offering them, they can demand that under the MFN agreement. So that will have to be rescinded altogether, and that's something which is a very old agreement and earlier was being honored by GATT and now by the GATT, now by WTO as well. That apart, I think the track record of the United States, we must visit with respect to trade agreements. If you would recall, Parikshit, that in 1994, the NAFTA agreement, the North Atlantic or North American Free Trade Agreement, was entered into between Canada, US, Mexico, and the smaller countries of North America. President Trump in 2017-18 replaced it with a trilateral agreement between Canada, Mexico, and the US. And now What's he doing after having negotiated it himself in 2017-18, the trilateral agreement between the three large nations? Now he's talking of that those countries are charging duties which are much higher than what the United States charges them. He calls it twice or something like that. Fact of the matter is,
Right.
Mr. Trump had negotiated it himself. And now suddenly he finds that there is no merit in that agreement. So he is blatantly saying that the US is walking out of it, and the US has already announced its higher duties by 25% on both Mexico and Canada. So I'm not so optimistic that even if the bilateral agreement, which is on which the work has just started yesterday or this morning, is negotiated, how much we can rely upon it if the circumstances change as perceived by President Trump and his cohorts who are now in the United States.
Now, the sense that we are getting is that the US government is unlikely to issue any carve-outs for India from the reciprocal tariffs, which will kick in from the 2nd of April. Now, according to a report by Morgan Stanley, a 10% increase in US tariffs on Indian goods may squeeze GDP growth by 30 basis points. What do you think will be the larger impact of these reciprocal tariffs? And what is the possibility of averting them before the 2nd of April? Do you think we'll have to give some guarantees to the US administration?
The question is, if the US does that, it will be against what it's been stated or what its president said, told the Joint Congress yesterday, that he's against any carve-outs for any of these nations. 7 of them he named, and in that are included Brazil and India. That these countries have been levying huge duties. We talked about the trade differential between them, and that he does not believe in the WTO, where there's a full paper on the 3rd of March. 3 days ago, the US has released on its trade policy with the rest of the world, which castigates the WTO as one of the most ineffective instruments, and says that instead of getting to zero tariffs and the free trade growing by giving out carve-outs, and again, it's talked about developing nations or countries which call themselves developing, even though they have gone past the per capita income as classified by World Bank. So he has even talked of that, and he says he doesn't believe at all in any of the stuff which the WTO kind of stands by or has been doing work on for the last 30 years. So my concern is that how much credibility would there be if we take measures? We took something just before our Prime Minister met Mr. Modi, and he's still continuing to call us, lament us, everywhere he's lamenting that India is not falling in line. 5 times I can recall.
Exactly. In the presence of Prime Minister Modi, he repeatedly started calling India a very high tariff jurisdiction. He complained on high tariffs on cars and said American car makers are just not able to sell in India because of 110% tariffs. So you're absolutely right there. Very difficult to trust where Donald Trump and this administration may go on tariffs. Stay on with us. Let me also get in Arun Malhotra. Mr. Malhotra, thank you so much for joining us. Let me begin by asking you about Tesla and what Sajjan Jindal told CNBC-TV18. He said that he's not afraid of Tesla entering the Indian car market, and this is not a market where he can be successful. He may be successful in America, but India is very, very complex. Would you agree with Sajjan Jindal?
Thanks, Parikshit. These are chaotic and challenging times, I would say. If you dissect the market, today you also mentioned in a report that even if it's 15% duty or even it's 0% duty, the average price of a Tesla will be around 35 lakhs. 90 to 95% of the market is below 30 lakhs. Today, you have Tata Motors with 5 models, MG with 3 models, Maruti and Mahindra and Hyundai in the phase of launching. So you've got 8-9 products in that price segment, which is below 20 or 30 lakhs. The above segment is hardly about 7 to 8%. And there also you have companies like BMW, Audi getting in, and BMW has just launched a product. So it's not going to be easy. And let me tell you what Tesla's preeminent position was in the EV industry in the world 3 years back. It is not today. Today, Tesla is like another player. To that extent, in principle, I would agree with what Sajid Jindal has mentioned, because in inciting the Indian industry, the challenges of the industry, the features we look for, the customers' value preferences they look for, it is not going to be easy. So volumes will be limited. To that extent, I don't think the market will be impacted to a large extent. At the upper end, there will be more competition. I think other companies can face it as well. But in the mass market, which is, I would say, the EV, which is 90 to 95% market below 30 lakhs, anyway, there are 5 companies which are present in India. They don't see much competition in there.
Right. But when it comes to having zero tariffs, this is what Donald Trump is asking for, saying that you cannot charge us 110% tariffs. The fact is we've already brought down tariffs to 70% on cars costing above $40,000 US. And even if the duties are brought down to 0%, sir, how will this impact the Indian car industry?
First of all, I don't know. US is not the country from which cars are exported to India. Hardly any volumes which are there. Actually, the countries would be a Korea or a Japan, or to some extent Thailand. To that extent, I mean, Indian auto industry is also improved at a certain level. And I think today, below 20 or 30 lakhs, we are self-dependent. We don't need really high import duties to safeguard our market. Above a certain price, there is a challenge. And it's being brought down. Probably brought down further. There is a scope for it. But making it zero seems a very impractical proposition. But as far as auto is concerned, today we are not USA. We neither export to USA, nor USA is exporting to India. So this reciprocal tariff doesn't really work in auto, because they're also not exporting and we are also not exporting to USA. All the cars which are exported from India are to other countries, not to USA. To that extent, but I don't think it is practical proposition. We have come down 110 to 70%, we'll come down. We'll come probably with EVs, we can have a different rule that we for EVs for 2-3 years, which was proposed by the government. But for normal vehicles, I don't think that's the answer. And I think he's hiring the voice or mirroring the voice of Elon Musk, which is for EVs. EVs anyway, the country is ready for lower tariffs which are there.
Right. Stay on with us, sir. Let me also get in Mr. Dua at this point. Mr. Dua, coming back to the question of automobile tariffs, and this is what Donald Trump keeps on raising every now and then. When it comes to manufacturing in India, and this is what the Indian government wants Tesla to do under the new electric car manufacturing policy. But if we look at a slowdown in global EV sales for Tesla, the kind of competition they're facing from BYD, Tesla's sales fell almost 76% in Germany in the month of February. In the current context, can a company like that even commit to manufacturing in India?
Probably that is, let's not rule it out. If they are comfortable with the tariffs which we levy, they are welcome to come here. We've slashed it to 70% already. But if he wants it to be 0%, then we are opening up, as I mentioned a little while ago, that we will have to offer a 0% duty to other car exporters also to India. That would not work at all for Indian industry, which has come of age in the last 30 odd years, ever since Maruti came in the small car sector. I think that we can reduce it somewhat if we like, but getting to zero is going to be not only hitting the Indian exchequer, but it could hit the Indian industry, which has come of age. See, we are a big exporter of components to the US. Many cars in the United States use components which are made in India. So what is Mr. Trump aiming at? The Indians should offer that they will assemble the cars in the United States so that their imports of components could be allowed. He will make use of Indian manpower, and then then make them competitive compared to what the cost of production today is. That today, if it is 31 lakhs, it is because the components used from India are very few in it, and also he is using high-cost labor. I think it's a double move which he's making. One, to attract investment into the United States if you want to avoid paying high duties, and secondly, that if open up the market access be improved for the cars of the United States, particularly Tesla. And that is his way of kind of making India bend towards what he is aspiring to get.
All right, we've completed our time, but thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Dua, Mr. Malhotra, giving us your view on Tesla's India entry and US demands for zero tariffs as well. Let's see what happens in the days to come. Time for a short break, but coming up next, illegal gambling and betting is expected to hit an all-time high ahead of the upcoming IPL season. A special discussion when we return.